today we are going to talk about adjectives in French and where to place them in a sentence. So adjectives, what are they? Adjectives are anything that describes a noun. So it can be pretty, big, tall, intelligent, and so on. So adjectives, where are they placed in a sentence in French? The general rule is that they are usually placed after the noun. So general rule, after the noun. Of course it is a general rule, but there are a lot of instances where it is not the case. So we call them exceptions, but they are pretty frequent, just so you know. So, exceptions. They are usually words that are about beauty, age, good, bad, or size, or bags, if you will, in English. So what are those adjectives? For example, it can be beauty, beau, beautiful, laid, which means ugly. If we talk about age, it can be jeune, vieux, which means old, good, bad, bon, mauvais, or the comparatives and superlatives, meilleur, better, best, pire, worst. If we talk about size, we can have grand, tall, petit, small, short for people, court, which means short but not for people, long, which means long, gros, which means big, fat, versus maigre, which means skinny. Here, there are all different opposites. All right. Another one is autre. Autre, which means other. Something to remember is that if you have multiple of them, there is a certain order. For example, autre is always first in a sentence. First of the adjectives. Some that are always second after autre, or first if no autre is not here, is bon, beau, and I will even add joli. So joli is another word for beau, which means pretty. Beau is beautiful, joli is pretty. These are always second in a sentence. So for example, you would say une jolie plage, a beautiful and pretty beach. You would say une autre jolie plage. And if you wanted to be even more precise, you would say une autre jolie petite plage. Another pretty little beach, little small beach. All right. Something else to be a little careful about is when you have these adjectives, vieux and beau, that are before masculine nouns that start with a vowel. So, I'll be a little more precise. Attention. Vieux, beau, that are placed before nouns that are masculine and start with a vowel or H. So, for example, homme. C'est un homme. You would say not vieux, but un vieil homme. Un vieil homme. And with beau, you would say un bel homme. An old man, a beautiful man. So be careful about these two. Good. The next thing that I want to point out is that it is possible sometimes to put these after the noun. You will just have to have an adverb. So for example, if I want to say a beautiful woman, I would say une belle femme. But if I want to insist on this, I would say une femme, for example, particulièrement belle. A particularly beautiful woman. And of course, that means that you're insisting on this. She is truly a beautiful woman. Another example, un long discours, which means a very long speech. If you want to insist on the length of the speech, you can say un discours incroyablement long, which means it was incredibly long. So anytime you have an adverbs, you put after the noun. Adjectives go after the noun. All right. I just want to point out as well that for any adjectives, you can also put an emphasis on the adjective if you put it before the noun. So let's say, for example, a magnificent house. You would say usually une maison magnifique. If you want to insist on how magnificent this house is, you can say une magnifique maison. That works. But you're really saying how beautiful this house is. Okay? Be careful when you put it into plural form. So the plural of une is des. So magnificent houses would be des maisons magnifiques. N'est-ce pas? If you want to emphasize on this, you will say deux magnifiques maisons. So be careful, the plural form, you have to say deux and not des. Des becomes deux. It's just some particularity. All right. So like we said, the exceptions, you need to put adjectives before the noun for beauty, age, good, bad, size. Usually they are frequent, those adjectives, and they are pretty short usually. Beau, joli, laid, jeune, vieux. It's usually one or a couple of syllables max. Good. So, a second exception where you always need to put the adjectives before the noun are numbers when you have an order. So, ranking numbers. Like we say l'ordre. It's like a ranking in French. For example, my first love. Mon premier amour. My second house. Ma deuxième maison. My third car. Ma troisième voiture. And so on. So anything that's ranking, you have to put before the noun. Be careful for the word last. Last in French is dernier. If we talk about the ranking, so there was a first and now there's a last, you have to put it before the noun. Like, for example, ma first day at work, mon premier jour au travail. And my last day at work will be mon dernier jour au travail. Correct? Be careful because dernier can also sometimes be after the noun. But if you put it after the noun, it's not about ranking. It's about just saying last, like last week. It's not like there was a first week and the last week. You're just talking about last week. For example, so time after the noun. You would say last week is la semaine dernière. You're not talking about a first week or a last week. You're just saying just last week. If you want to say see you next week, it's about the same rule. You would say à la semaine prochaine. Correct? See you next week. But prochain, if you put it before the noun, like we said, it's about ranking. So you would say, for example, next time, be more careful. You would say, la prochaine fois, sois plus prudent. Be more careful next time. La prochaine fois, because it was the last time, or this time you're talking about, there was a last time, the first time, and there will be a next time. La prochaine fois. Not talking about time, talking about a ranking. There's a ranking. So ranking numbers before the noun. If you talk about time, it's about after the noun. Good. Last and next, which is prochain. My next day at work, mon prochain jour au travail. Right, I hope all this makes sense. This is about how hard as it gets. It doesn't get harder than this. And that's it. I will give you access to an exercise. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you'd like to have this worksheet, I can also give it to you. Let me know. Thanks for listening and for watching, and see you next time.